What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Off the Bench Podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be discussing the NFL free agency and the remaining players, running backs and receivers that are left, and talk a little bit about who we think is their best fit for both real life and fantasy. I was going to start us off with a player that, I was kind of looking at, and the most sense to me for this person, I was going to talk about Kareem Hunt a little bit. And to me, as crazy as this might sound, I think the New York Giants might be the best fit for Kareem Hunt. I know that sounds a little bizarre with them having Saquon Barkley, but Kareem Hunt has always played the backup role and done it extremely well, playing with Nick Chubb for all those years. Anytime he's got the opportunity with minimum touches, he's made the most of it. Saquon Barkley is franchise tagged this season, and he's not happy about it. There's been a lot of talk that he's going to sit out. And he said that's a card he might play. So if Kareem Hunt signed with the New York Giants, he could go there and possibly just be the man straight up. Like, if Saquon sits, Kareem Hunt would be the starter day one. Like, he's going to start over whoever. I think Breida's their backup. He'd start over Breida in a heartbeat. And I think that's his best fit. If he's wanting to go somewhere and immediately become the man and have all the touches, I think the Washington Commanders is another great spot for him. Like, I think he'd start over Brian Robinson. So what you got on Kareem Hunt? Like, Hunt's best spot?
Kareem Hunt, I kind of had him more towards like he could be on the Broncos.
Okay.
Would maybe make sense because Javonte Williams, he's returning from a torn ACL.
Yes.
So, and he's their number one guy. I don't believe there's really many others to step in for that. So I think he could fill the gap, take a bulk of the carries early on in the year, and then do kind of like a change of pace role.
Yeah.
Once Javonte feels like he's ready to take over again. The only thing in the way is that, they could also be an option for Dalvin Cook. I'm not getting into him just yet, but if they're not trying to pursue somebody like Dalvin Cook, then I think Kareem Hunt could be a really good other person that the Broncos could take in to be right there with Javonte Williams. Just same thing, like you said, Saquon could be out. So like Javonte, same thing. He's coming off a torn ACL. He may not be 100% yet. He might be 100%. Maybe the Broncos just Sean Payton over there just believes he's ready.
Yeah.
And don't need to fill in anywhere. But he loves his running backs too, and he usually likes to have kind of a change of pace type role running backs. Example Alvin Kamara and Mark Ingram, or
Yeah, absolutely. That's perfect.
or what they did with the Saints. So it makes sense if they bring in somebody that could do some of that, and Kareem Hunt can get into the goal line.
Yeah.
So and he's only 28. So I think by the time it kicks off this year, so that is kind of considered a senior citizen in football for running backs.
Yeah.
Even though there are running backs that get into their 30s and still don't. I mean, Derrick Henry's 30. Frank Gore, we could go all day talking about him, or Adrian Peterson.
Yep.
But I think he's still got gas at least for a couple more years to keep
Oh, yeah.
going, and he's always been an elite running back, even with the Nick Chubb. So he knows how to fill that role.
I like that. I like that Broncos call right there. They stole Samaje Perine from us, which was our backup behind Joe Mixon. And I know they're talking highly of him, but they're going to talk highly of whoever they sign. That's just part of it. They want to talk him up to make him feel like, But Samaje Perine made a lot of mistakes for us. He was decent in pass blocking, but he wasn't the best. So somebody like Kareem Hunt, who's skilled, he's a very skilled pass blocker, could come in and take that role immediately, like you were saying. So I really like that. Next up, somebody I wanted to touch on was Ezekiel Elliott.
It's
Today,
a good one.
Yeah, I saw news today on Zeke. They were projecting him to sign a $5 million deal with the New England Patriots. If that happens, and he does, I don't think he's going to be the Zeke that you remember him being with the Cowboys. Ramondre Stevenson is the star right now for the Patriots. Bill Belichick has always liked to do, multiple running backs. So he would be Ramondre Stevenson would still see the bulk of the carries, and I think Zeke would be that change of pace back for the Patriots. I don't think he'd be the bell cow like you and everyone's used to seeing. I think there's a good chance at this stage of his career, he's not going to see that many touches. I think he'll be that, like we're talking about, changes of pace every day, every other drive guy. To me, I just think Zeke Zeke isn't what he used to be. So, that $5 million deal will be good for him. I think he's on his way out. I think he's starting to fade. If he was, he'd still be the starter, and Tony Pollard would be the one we're discussing going to, New England. So what you got on Zeke?
Yeah, so, I mean, Patriots would have been my first thought. I heard the same thing about the $5 million contract, but it sounds like he's still trying to get big money, even though he had the worst year of his career, averaging just like 3.8 yards a carry and less than 1,000 yards from scrimmage. So definitely not the same guy. I actually predicted before the year started last year that Tony Pollard was going to take over, and he did. I drafted him in a lot of leagues, Tony Pollard, and he ended up doing exactly what I thought he was going to do. Surprisingly,
Absolutely.
I kept telling Cowboy fans I was going to have him. They didn't believe me, but I was like, no, I think it's his time. I think he's and Zeke keeps kind of getting hurt or falling behind. So, but I'm actually leaning a little more. This might catch you off guard, but leaning towards more like the Cincinnati Bengals. And just like you brought up, Samaji, they lost Samaji, so give some added protection for Burrow.
I can see that. Zeke's
They'd have another big back and help protect him. And right now, I think you'll just have like a rookie, Chase Brown, that's behind Mixon right now. Plus, there's been talks about Mixon trying to getting him to take a pay cut. Yeah, you don't know what that could affect with him. I think he's got teammates even behind him where they're trying to make sure he doesn't have to take a pick. So we don't know what could happen with that. So they bring in somebody like Zeke as the bag. I'm not saying he could take over as the workhorse, but because I know he can pass protect. So that's why, and he's a big back. So that's kind of that was like my off the radar selection
that makes
I was going with.
A lot of sense, because we're the number 2 passing team in the league, and Zeke is known for being, I think he was ranked the second best pass blocking running back. So makes perfect sense for him to land with somebody like us, especially with Joe Mixon being in legal trouble this coming season. I know normally it takes a year, like, we saw with Alvin Kamara. He's not going to be suspended until this year, if he is. I'm not saying he's going to be, but if he is suspended, it'll be this. Joe Mixon's kind of in the same boat with the off the field issues. So Zeke makes perfect sense with us. So that's a really good call. Next up, we have multiple. Who do you want to touch on? We'll go with what you want right here.
We'll leave my surprise one at the end, but
okay.
Let's go ahead. We'll leave I want to leave 2 of these other guys together because there was something that I want to start on after this one. So let me start the next one. But but let's talk about Leonard Fournette.
All right. You want me to go?
No, I can. So he's averaged less than 4 yards per carry in 4 of his 6 NFL seasons, and he's I think he was only around like 700 rushing yards last year. The plus is, though, he posted like 500 receiving yards, so he's a good PPR back. So one team I can think of that needs kind of like a power running back but could also help on that, even though they got a running back, is the Chargers behind Eckler. They got Justin Kelly still behind there, and they have Isaiah Spiller, who I think came from UT. But Justin Kelly's had his chances before and hasn't really done anything. He could kind of be like a PPR back, taking catches every once in a while when they need him to out of the backfield. But they haven't really proven anything, either one of them. So, like, if they bring in somebody that could be a power rusher, help get an end zone, and plus could also catch, I think he could be a good running back too for them. And easily complement Eckler.
Yeah. I thought, coming out of college with LSU, everyone thought Leonard Fournette was the next Adrian Peterson. Like, they're built similar, like their play style coming in was similar. And then, like, he's just regressed every season. And, that's to do with age. Running backs, it just happens. You stated it, he averaged 3.5 yards a carry last season, 668 yards, but he did make up for it with the 500 yards and 70 receptions. So, like you said, they call him playoff Lenny. He turns it up in the playoffs, which doesn't help you at all in fantasy, But I think he's on the decline. For me, I thought the best fit for him, where he didn't have to be the guy, would be the Bills. I liked Leonard Fournette with the Bills because they have James Cook. James Cook's a great running back, but he's on the smaller side, like you were saying. Leonard Fournette can be used as a power back. He's a bigger guy. I think that they would complement each other well. So to me, I had Leonard Fournette sitting with the Bills.
Okay.
Let's move on.
Um,
You said you have two you want to touch on together.
Sort of, but it'll lead mainly into this person. But to
Okay.
start off, it'd be with Dalvin Cook. He did tweet about something recently
I
that
saw
it would
that.
be epic for the NFL if him and Hopkins played together.
Mm-hmm.
So, which is weird because he had Justin Jefferson had him already around him, and he's
The best in
easily a
the
number
league.
one receiver.
Yeah.
So, so that was a little weird. Then second, I don't see either player putting up what they did in their previous years. Hopkins or Dalvin Cook to say that it would be epic. So I think Cook could still do it. Hopkins maybe. They were in their prime at one point, so they could, but it was just a little weird seeing that. But it kind of brings them into like they did say, like the Patriots, possibly it could be somebody because they need a receiver. They got
Yeah.
Ramondre Stevenson. It'd be, kind of cool if they got Dalvin Cook. I don't see Bill Belichick doing that. I could see them getting Hopkins for sure, but we could touch more into him in a second. But getting into Dalvin Cook, he's 27. I think he should be about 28 when kickoff starts.
Mm-hmm.
Um, he's somebody who's put up 4 consecutive 1,000 plus yard seasons, only to get dumped by the Vikings, which is always weird. But I get it, he's trying to get paid, but it's just not a good time for running backs right now with
Market's
all the
dry.
turnover that's going on. But I think the team that did show most interest was the Dolphins. He is from Miami. Uh, Even though I don't know if that's going to happen because they do have a crowded backfield right now with Raheem Mostert, Jeff Wilson. Then they even got a rookie. But in my opinion, a great spot would be the New York Jets.
I like that.
And run like a 1-2 punch with Brees Hall
Mm-hmm.
with Aaron Rodgers behind that. The Jets have a lot of cap space. Brees is coming back from an ACL season-ending injury. In his absence, they still got Michael Carter. He didn't really do anything when he had his chance. And then just like I said, having Aaron Rodgers under center just gives it such a balanced attack if they had something like that, especially if Brees Hall still needs some time to get back into it.
Yeah.
Don't put so much pressure on him right away just to get hurt again, which is I loved Brees Hall. I drafted him in a lot of leagues last year as a running back too.
Yeah.
And then just for him to get hurt, but he was doing great in his rookie year, and then until he got hurt. So that's my take on Dalvin Cook, where
I like
I
that.
think he'd be best with.
Me personally, I think his best fit would be the Dolphins because of that offense that he would have around him. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill are the two fastest receivers in the league, and they're on the same team. I believe that the running back that they have right now, what's his name? Their starter,
Raheem Mostert or
Mostert.
Mostert. Sorry.
I think if I'm mistaken, you can correct me and look it up if I'm wrong. But he is the fastest running back in the NFL, correct? Isn't Raheem Mostert the fastest out of everybody?
Oh, I don't know. It's a good
Maybe one of
question.
the coming in might be faster, like Jameer Gibbs. But I'm pretty sure that I read that the reason they signed Mostert in the first place is to capitalize on that speed that they already had with Tyreek Hill and Waddle. Dalvin Cook is an overall better back than him. I don't think he's as fast, but I mean, just pure running back, I think Dalvin Cook, would take that spot, no problem. And you can't stack the box against him. So, I mean, he'd have more running opportunities than he'd be used to. I mean, Justin Jefferson's a stud, but on the other side of Justin Jefferson, name that, name who's over there, like Waddle, Tyreek Hill on both sides. You can't double, you can't stack boxes. So I think that would be the best. And to touch a little bit on what you were saying about the Hopkins Cook together thing, I think that if they were going to a team together, the best fit for them together would be the Chiefs because the Chiefs would have the money to sign them. The Chiefs had, I think they started 8 rookies last season. So, they have a lot of people on rookie contract, and they went and won the Super Bowl with these rookies. So they have money to sign, weapons. Mahomes, they got rid of Tyreek Hill. They still need a true wide receiver one. Juju Smith-Schuster just went to the Patriots, so, they can sign them and, still have money to pick up somebody else on defense, even if they needed it. So, Patrick Mahomes with Hopkins and Dalvin Cook back there, I think Dalvin Cook would take Isaiah Pacheco's spot with the Chiefs. So together, I think that would be the best fit. Moving on to a little bit about DeAndre Hopkins. Um, I think he would do great with Buffalo, but I read in the news that Stephon Diggs restructured his own contract and took a pay cut for the team to be able to sign Hopkins, and they weren't able to sign him on his trip. They wanted to lock him up when he came and visited immediately. And it came out in the news that was, Stephon Diggs has been so disgruntled recently, and they had to cancel mini camp and all that stuff. And it came out that had a lot to do with it. So, they really wanted Hopkins. Hopkins didn't sign with them. I think that would be a great fit. Josh Allen, would be a great quarterback for anyone. So who do you have? Where's the best landing spot that you believe for
him is a very tough one. I have mainly two, of course, Patriots was kind of my main thinking, and we know what Hopkins was capable of in the past.
Yeah.
The Patriots did sign Juju, but with the new offensive coordinator they have, he was with the Houston Texans when DeAndre Hopkins was doing what he was doing there.
Mm-hmm.
He knows the offense, so I'm leaning more towards the Patriots. He's already visited with the Patriots.
Yeah, and it was a good,
or he's going to if he hasn't already this week, I'm sure, or next week.
Yep.
So I'm leaning more towards that because he knows the system. And you know how Bill Belichick likes to sign veteran receivers and kind of try to rejuvenate them. He's done it many, many years.
Yep.
The only other one I could think of is the Titans. Because they don't really I mean, you could try to say Traylon Burks is a receiver one, but he's really, that's a very young receiver core over there. There's only, I think, two other rookies behind him right now. And adding Hopkins would add a veteran level that they need, even though they're kind of in a weird state over there. But it'd really help out a lot. And I mean, I think Hopkins just tweeted something today or yesterday about that he wants to he kind of made a comment similar to wanting to be kind of like a veteran, have that veteran mentality for a team. So,
yep.
Other than that, I mean, unless you want to get crazy and say the Browns to reunite with Deshaun Watson, but I just threw a couple ideas where I think the best spots could be, but I would think he'd most likely end up with the Patriots. But who knows? We'll see. We still got a couple more months.
Yep, you're right. And he said he's going to take his time. I saw the tweet you're talking about. He stated that whatever he said to my future receiving core, I'm going to make your job easy. That's what he said. And that, some people would think that was cocky. I think that's just confidence. He knows what he's going to give you, and he's just trying to sell himself. So I'm looking forward to wherever he does go, because I'm drafting from the second spot in our league, and he should be there for me on the turn. So he's somebody I'm targeting in my draft myself. I know you stated that you have a surprise one you wanted to talk about at the end. So who would that be?
I mean, it's nobody anybody really probably cares about, but it's be Carson Wentz. Okay. I have a feeling he could end up signing with the Buccaneers. I mean, they got Baker Mayfield and Kyle Trask, I think. And from what I've heard, it's been kind of horrendous in training camp with all that, which is kind of defeating for that team because they do have some good receivers, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, Russell Gage, a lot of veteran receivers that are capable of doing different things. So I think if they maybe did a 1-year deal to see what he could prove, I think he's a way better passer than those two quarterbacks. So bringing him in, I think, will already be an upgrade because they got other weapons on that team too. But he's kind of he reminds me kind of like Fitzpatrick. He bounces between. He just has had rough time. He's done some good things, but he's just bounced between a lot of teams. I think the Commanders, the Colts, the Eagles.
Yeah.
So, but just him. I think there's a chance he's a free agent right now. I think he could end up signing with the Buccaneers to add some help over there.
I like that. And to throw a screwball in with the Carson Wentz stuff, I think he just hasn't had the true chance that he needs to be with a team long enough to show them that he can be that guy. I think Carson Wentz is extremely naturally gifted at quarterback, size and ability-wise. And I think that if he went right now and signed with the Oakland Raiders, I feel like he would be the best player on their team, quarterback-wise. I think he's better than Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo is more of a game manager, and Carson Wentz makes stuff happen. So Jimmy G did fell his physical. I know we've talked about that multiple times on the show so far. If Carson Wentz went and took over there with Devontae Adams and the weapons that he has around him with his name's escaping me at the moment, the running back, Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams together with Carson Wentz. I think that they can make a playoff run. I do. So if that happens,
I mean,
you heard it
and
here
there's
first.
there's other quarterbacks in free agency. A lot of older guys though, like there's Teddy Bridgewater, Matt Ryan, Nick Foles, Joe Flacco. I don't see anybody getting him. I think he's pretty much past his time.
They're all
Matt
back.
Ryan might be too, but if they really need to bring someone in, I mean, Matt Ryan could fill in, but he didn't do much with the Colts. Other than that, there's not really any other notable people I'd like to bring up. I mean, we could bring up Julio Jones, but I haven't seen any updates or anything if he's even trying to
I haven't either.
do
As much
anything.
as I
Even
love him,
Mark Ingram,
as much as I
he's
love him, I just don't see anybody signing Julio at his current state and health. Like he's getting hurt too much. He's too big of a liability, on a cap hit for that. One person I did say
maybe.
that
Go ahead.
doesn't want to retire yet is Adrian Peterson. He said he wants to play one more year. And I'm all for it, baby. Somebody wants to sign him, I'll pick him up with my last pick in the draft. I'm all for some Adrian Peterson. All day. If he can't maybe he can get a ring on my fantasy team.
I don't know how you could say that with the turnover and the amount of running backs available. Like they give you an example. There's still Kenyon Drake, Dontrell Hilliard, Royce Freeman, Giovanni Bernard, David Johnson, Justin Jackson, J.D. McKissick, if he didn't sign with anybody yet. I don't remember. Rex Burkhead, I think he's done. And then Mark Ingram here, he said he's going to retire. I think he's going to be joining some college show or something.
Yep.
And then receivers, the only one I think is worth bringing is Jarvis Landry. I mean, maybe the Titans
be a
could
weapon
use
for someone.
him.
He'd be a good weapon for somebody.
I think maybe he could do the Titans or somebody like that, or like you said, like Chiefs, or who knows. Have somebody like that to throw to him.
Yeah, someone like Jarvis Landry, I feel like would sit out until midway through the season and sign with a team that has a hurt receiver. I think he'd be that kind of role. Some of these guys that we talked about today even might be that kind of role. We have a lot that are immediate starters, but Jarvis Landry, Julio Jones, Adrian Peterson if a running back goes down. But one thing I can say about Adrian Peterson is everyone that you named in free agency, he has more rushing yards than all of them combined. So, if you want experience, go with it.
I got one question for you.
What's
out of
up?
all these free agents, who do you think's gonna be the first one to sign?
The first one, or who do I think is the best? I'll go with both.
Who do you think's gonna be taken first at all these to go to a team?
I think Deaundre Hopkins will be the first to go. I think that I also think he's the best available. I think that he's the most talented out of all the free agents. So I think that a team makes a decision on him, and then I think depending on how much he wants to sign for, they might even go with that Dalvin Cook double tandem. Depending on what team signs him. Patriots could do it. Chiefs could do it.
I like that Chiefs one you said.
Those two could do it. To be honest, anybody that signs him could use both. They're both weapons. That's all you got to do in the NFL. It's an offensive league, so you're going to sign as many weapons as you can for as cheap as you can. So
All right.
That concludes today's episode of Off the Bench Podcast. We'll be coming live with you tomorrow. We're going to have a special guest join us tomorrow. We're going to do some season previews on some NFL teams. And be sure to tune in, like the video if you can, share, and be sure to subscribe.